I never thought betrayal would be part of my story. I had everything looked picture perfect. But perfect stories sometimes breaks heart.
You know, the first Friday of every month used to have a rhythm. I'd rush home from work, toss off my shoes, and stand in front of my mirror. And no matter what I wore, nothing felt right. It was like my entire closet belonged to someone else. I wasn't dressing for myself. I was dressing for her approval. For Daniel's smile. For the image of us that the world expected. Looking back now, it's painful to admit, but I was already disappearing. Piece by piece. And I didn't even see it. I remember walking into Sophie's apartment that evening. The place was glowing, fairy lights strung across the windows, wine glasses waiting on the table. Daniel was already there. His arm draped across the couch, his laugh rolling through the room like honey. And me? I slipped right into my role. But here's the thing about pictures. They don't always show the cracks. That night, I thought I had everything. A best friend who knew all my secrets. A man who I believed loved me. But in Sophie's glance, that sharp flicker of something I couldn't name, the first fracture appeared. The first shadow was small. A text message. I had invited her to dinner, she canceled, saying she had a work deadline. But that night, scrolling through Instagram, there she was, laughing at a bar, glass in hand. Just a lie, dressed up in sequins and neon lights. I smiled, nodded, swallowed the truth. That was the second shadow, me silencing myself to protect her. And then Daniel started pulling away too, his phone buzzed more often. And sometimes, he'd slip it into his pocket too fast. Have you ever ignored your own instincts? That sick feeling in your stomach that whispers, something is wrong. I watched his face, the way his eyes lingered on hers a second too long. It was just a flicker. A glance. But my heart dropped anyway. The day of the betrayal started like any other. Nothing warned me that by nightfall, I would lose everything. I remember unlocking my door. And then, I heard it. Laughter. Daniel's. Sophie's. Together. I walked into the living room. And there they were. Sophie, curled on my couch. Daniel beside her, their bodies too close. When they saw me, silence felt like glass shattering. How long? I asked. My voice sounded foreign, even to me. Sophie whispered, a few months. It's ice. Cold, numbing ice spreading through your veins, freezing every memory, every smile, every belief you once held safe. And I remember walking out the door. Not slamming it. Not screaming. Just walking, because if I stayed, I would shatter. That night, I sat in my car for hours. The city lights blurred through my tears. Who am I now, without them? The morning after, the world felt different. I remember waking up on the couch, still in last night's dress. My phone buzzed. Daniel. Sophie. Apologies flooding the screen. Each message was a blade. It felt like drowning. Like being pulled under, lungs burning, but too tired to fight for air. And I let myself sink. I sat at my desk, typing nonsense into emails, pretending I was fine. Colleagues asked, "You okay?" I smiled. "Yeah, just tired." I wrote, "I am broken. I don't know who I am." Then I slammed it shut. I couldn't bear to see the words. I slid to the floor and cried into my hands, the sound raw and animal. That was my fallout. Not rage. Not revenge. Just collapse. The turning point came on an ordinary Tuesday. I came home from work and caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. Hollow eyes. Slumped shoulders. And then, I wrote 3 words, I am here. That night, I did something radical. I cooked dinner. Pasta with garlic and olive oil. The smell filled my apartment, warm and familiar. The next morning, I opened the curtains. Sunlight poured in, hitting the dust in the air. It looked like tiny sparks, dancing just for me. I stopped at a park bench and watched kids playing tag. Their laughter rose wild and sharp. For a moment, I smiled. I sat by the window, at Sophie's old seat. My hand brushed faint rings left by coffee cups from years of Fridays. And yes, it hurt. But I was here, with me. I picked up a novel Sophie would have mocked as too sappy. I bought it anyway. That Saturday, I found myself barefoot on a mat, wobbling through poses. For one moment, there was no Sophie, no Daniel. Just me. After class, a woman named Clara invited me for coffee. She smiled at me. "You'll be fine. Not today. But one day." A pottery class. My bowls collapsed, but I laughed anyway. One Sunday morning, sunlight filled my bedroom. I lay still, staring at the ceiling, and thought, I've survived. I whispered aloud, "You don't own me anymore." My relapse came on an ordinary Thursday. I was walking home when I saw them, a couple outside our old sushi place. I woke with my pillow wet. I thought, I've failed. I'm back at the beginning. Clara's voice, steady, "That's normal. Relapse isn't failure. It's proof you're human." Friday night, I stood in front of the mirror again. Same ritual, different me. No Daniel's gaze to please. No Sophie's opinion to chase. Just me. I spoke my truth, and it didn't shatter me. Rain fell outside my window the day I booked the ticket. Lisbon. 1 week. Just me. But when the plane lifted, pressing me into my seat, I felt it, freedom. Terrifying. Untethered. I ate grilled sardines at a table for one, surrounded by conversations I didn't understand. I realized I wasn't outside the world. I was part of it. On the 4th day, I hiked to a hilltop lookout. The city sprawled below. I am here. Not because of them. Not despite them. Just because of me. Clara and I sat across from each other. We both laughed. And in that moment, I knew she understood. But instead of retreating, I reached across the table and touched her hand. "You don't have to go back," I said. "Then flip the script," she said. "Don't let them write your story for you." So I straightened my shoulders and said, clear as glass, "Yes. We broke up. And yes, Sophie betrayed me. But I'm not ashamed. They should be." The silence that followed was mine. And it felt powerful. I was in the poetry aisle when I heard it. Warm. Low. Unforced. I turned, and there he was, holding a book upside down. His lack of curiosity about my scars was the greatest kindness. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors. And I get to decide who walks through. "No," I said softly. "Fridays are for me right now. Just me." But Mark only said, "Fair. Saturdays then?" I turned, and there he was. Daniel. Same eyes. Same voice. But I didn't feel love. I felt my chest clench. "You don't miss." I could walk away, jar of pasta sauce in hand, stronger than the woman who once collapsed in his absence. There she was. Sophie. My chest tightened. Clara touched my arm. "Do you want to leave?" I shook my head. "No. I need this." "I loved you," I said, voice breaking. "You were my family. And you chose him." I nodded once. Sharp. "You should be." And I turned and walked away. I think forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing not to carry hate anymore. And before I could second guess, my hand rose. "I'll do it." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my reflection in the glass. Not the hollow-eyed woman, but me. Shoulders straight. Eyes clear. Joy didn't return with a bang. It slipped back quietly. On a Tuesday evening, a violin, played by a street musician on the corner. And suddenly, I smiled. Slow meant keeping Fridays for myself. Journaling. Silence. This time, love doesn't consume me. It doesn't erase me. It expands me. Slowly. Patiently. On my terms. Pain had carved me into someone new. And with the carving came lessons. Trust is a gift. Boundaries are love. Healing is not linear. Forgiveness begins within. Joy returns. I sat on a bench at the park today, watching children run across the grass. Their laughter rang like bells. Tonight, on the last page, I wrote, I am not just here. I am whole again. Not because they broke me, but because I chose to rise. This was not the ending I once imagined. It is better. Because I am not my betrayal. I am my rise.